Harry just lost the one person inside the royal family who was still willing to believe there was a way back. Not William, not Charles, Catherine, and according to explosive reports coming from royal insiders, that door has now slammed shut so hard that even people close to the situation are describing it as the true end of any realistic chance of reconciliation. The shocking part isn't that William is angry. Everyone already knew that. The shocking part is that Catherine, the woman who reportedly spent years trying to keep hope alive between two brothers, finally looked at everything that had happened and decided enough was enough. And once Catherine reached that point, the entire game changed.
Prince Harry has such a cheek that he is now piling the pressure on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to step in and try and save his failing relationship with Prince William, not understanding that it's over, brother. It is gone. Finito. Just accept it.
Nobody wanted Harry there either, because Harry has completely blotted his copy with that family and the group of family friends, because nobody can trust Harry anymore.
The big revelation from him is that Prince Harry doesn't even have William's phone number anymore. That is, of course, a mortifying revelation for the Duke of Delusion.
They choked off any information Harry and Meghan had, which is all the currency they had to sell. They have no more royal news to sell, and they're slowly going down the tubes. They've lost everything.
Why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it to Oprah, and always seems to have varying recollections? Not to mention, you really don't want his wife around who would sell clothing to the effect of what to wear to meet your evil sister-in-law.
He exploded because obviously his plan, and again this was the difficult bit, he couldn't understand why he was evicted from that particular place.
For years, royal watchers were told there was still one thread connecting Harry to the family he left behind. While William's patience had evaporated and King Charles appeared increasingly distant, Catherine remained the quiet bridge. She was the one many believed still hoped that one day the brothers would find their way back to each other. Not because she agreed with Harry, not because she approved of the attacks, but because she understood what family meant. She understood what Diana would have wanted, and perhaps more importantly, she understood how devastating it would be if two brothers remained enemies forever. But then something changed. Something snapped. Sources claim Harry's public comments surrounding Charles's health situation crossed a line Catherine could no longer ignore. After enduring her own personal health battle, after facing months of stress, uncertainty, and relentless public attention, watching private family pain become public discussion reportedly pushed her beyond her limit. Suddenly, the woman who had spent years trying to keep the peace wasn't trying anymore. And that is where this story becomes even more dramatic, because just as Catherine reportedly pulled away, Harry allegedly began searching for another path back in. Not through William, through Catherine herself. According to reports circulating among royal commentators, Harry's camp began floating the idea that Catherine remained the one person capable of reaching William, the one person who could somehow soften his position, the one person who could reopen communication channels that had been completely shut down. But here's the question nobody can stop asking. Why should she? Why should the woman caught in the middle of years of public drama become responsible for fixing it? Why should she carry that burden? And perhaps most importantly, why now?
Expert Dan Wakeford says Harry wants a reconciliation. He regrets the things he said in the book, the documentary, and doing that again is off the table. Yeah, right. What's heartbreaking is he kind of hoped that William would stumble a little and reach out and need him. I don't know if I believe this. He's got no avenue to communicate with him. However, the expert claimed it cannot happen as Harry reportedly no longer even has William's phone number.
The timing is what has many observers raising eyebrows, because this isn't the first time similar tactics have allegedly appeared. Critics point to previous attempts involving King Charles, where stories emerged suggesting possible meetings, possible invitations, possible reconciliations. Every time there seemed to be conditions, expectations, requirements, never simple apologies, Never simple accountability, always something more complicated hiding underneath. And that's where frustration reportedly exploded inside royal circles. Because while Harry may believe Catherine represents the last bridge available, others reportedly see something entirely different. They see someone who has already given more patience than anyone else in the family, someone who has already tried, someone who is exhausted. Then came another uncomfortable reality: William, because if there is one thing insiders agree on, it is this: William's anger isn't fading. If anything, it appears more deeply rooted than ever before.
It's the same thing he did with King Charles a couple months ago when he let it be known through a source, wink, friend, wink, that he would be happy to accept an invitation to Sandringham, but of course, he would only go if his wife and kids were there, and that.
Oh yeah, and if there's full security paid for by people like me.
And if he knew who else was going to be there. So it's the same kind of BS that's happening right now.
The public often focuses on the biggest headlines, the biggest interviews, the biggest accusations. But people close to the situation claim the deepest wounds were personal. They weren't about media cycles. They weren't about ratings. They weren't about publicity. They were about Catherine, the future queen, the woman William has spent decades protecting. And according to numerous reports, that protection instinct has only intensified over time. The result? A relationship between brothers that now appears almost impossible to repair. Because when trust disappears, every conversation becomes suspicious. Every motive becomes questionable. Every gesture becomes examined through years of accumulated resentment. And then came the detail that stunned many royal observers. William reportedly changed his phone number, not because of a temporary disagreement, not because of a simple family argument, but because communication itself had become part of the problem. Think about how extraordinary that is. Two brothers who once stood together through unimaginable grief. Two brothers who walked behind their mother's coffin. Two brothers who once appeared inseparable, now separated by silence. Total silence. And from William's perspective, the issue reportedly goes far beyond a single book, a single interview, or a single accusation. Sources claim he believes years of attacks created lasting damage that cannot simply be erased by requests for forgiveness. But Catherine's position may be even more revealing, because while headlines focus on royal politics, insiders claim Catherine's focus is much simpler. Her children, George, Charlotte, Louis, according to reports. Her decisions today are being made through the lens of motherhood rather than monarchy, and that changes everything. Sources suggest Catherine's primary concern is protecting her family from future chaos, future drama, and future headlines. Because from her perspective, every interaction seems to carry potential consequences. Every gathering risks becoming tomorrow's story. Every private moment risks becoming public discussion. For Catherine, this is no longer just a disagreement between adults. It's about creating stability. It's about protecting her children from conflict. It's about ensuring they grow up away from endless public warfare. And that is why many royal insiders believe her decision has become final, not emotional, not impulsive. Final, because once a mother decides her first responsibility is protecting her family, changing that decision becomes nearly impossible. The real shock isn't that William closed the door. The real shock is that Catherine, the person who reportedly kept that door open longer than anyone else, finally walked away too. The deeper this story goes, the harder it becomes to ignore one uncomfortable reality. This isn't simply a family disagreement anymore. It has evolved into something far bigger, something colder, something that insiders increasingly describe as permanent. And the evidence keeps piling up. If there was ever any doubt about where Harry stands inside the royal circle, many believe recent events erased it completely. Every controversy seemed to stack on top of the previous one like bricks building a wall nobody could climb. Old wounds never healed because new ones kept appearing. Accusations led to counter-accusations. Public statements created private anger. Every attempt at explaining the past only seemed to create new problems for the future. And through all of it, William reportedly became more convinced than ever that certain lines had been crossed beyond repair. Then came perhaps the most explosive question of all. If Harry truly wants reconciliation, why does every path back seem to involve the same people he previously criticized? Why return to the institution he described as trapping him? Why seek acceptance from relatives he publicly condemned? Critics say the contradiction is impossible to ignore. For Catherine, however, the calculation appears much simpler. She no longer sees this as a debate about forgiveness. She sees it as a matter of consequences. Actions create consequences. Decisions create consequences. And after years of headlines, interviews, documentaries, books, leaks, accusations, and endless public drama, the consequences have finally arrived. Not in the the form of a dramatic confrontation, not through some explosive palace showdown, through silence. Cold silence. The kind of silence that says more than any public statement ever could. And yet Harry reportedly continues searching for openings, continues looking for a way back into conversations that have already ended. That is exactly why royal observers believe Catherine's position has become so important. She isn't acting from anger, she isn't acting from revenge, she is acting from caution, because every interaction now carries risk. Every private meeting could become public discussion. Every family gathering could become tomorrow's headline. Every conversation could eventually find its way into another project, another interview, another memoir, another media cycle. That trust problem hangs over everything, and once trust disappears, rebuilding it becomes nearly impossible. The wedding of Peter Phillips only intensified those conversations. For many royal watchers, it represented something symbolic, a glimpse into the new reality, a reality where life continues without Harry's involvement. Family celebrations continue, gatherings continue, milestones continue, but increasingly, Harry appears absent from the picture, not because of scheduling conflicts, not because of geography, because invitations themselves seem to have disappeared. That detail sent commentators into a frenzy, because being left out sends a message louder than any public criticism. It suggests something more serious than anger. It suggests indifference, and indifference is often the final stage of any broken relationship. You can fight with someone when you still care. You can argue with someone when emotions still exist. But when people stop arguing altogether, that can be the clearest sign that they've emotionally moved on. Meanwhile, reports continue circulating about financial pressures, fading media deals, and growing uncertainty surrounding future projects. Whether those reports are completely accurate or partially exaggerated, they have fueled speculation about why reconciliation suddenly appears so important. Is this really about family? Is it about legacy? Is it about reputation? Or is it about something else entirely? Nobody outside the inner circle truly knows. What many people do know is that William's position reportedly hasn't softened. If anything, it has hardened. Sources repeatedly describe him as someone who believes the damage cannot be undone, someone who views certain accusations as unforgivable, someone who has reached conclusions that no amount of pressure can reverse. King Charles appears equally distant. Meetings remain uncertain, communication remains limited, hope continues shrinking, and at the center of it all stands Catherine, the woman once viewed as the bridge, the woman who reportedly spent years hoping the family could somehow heal, the woman who has now become the symbol of a different message entirely. Family comes first, protection comes first, children come first, everything else comes second. That is why insiders believe her decision carries such enormous weight. Because if Catherine has truly stepped away from the role of peacemaker, then Harry may have lost the final ally capable of reopening doors that have been closing one by one for years. No dramatic announcement is needed. No official statement is required. The silence tells the story. The distance tells the story. The absence tells the story. And that may be the hardest reality of all. Because while Harry keeps looking backward, the royal family appears to be moving forward. And if that gap continues growing wider, the ending may already be written, not with a confrontation, not with a public rejection, but with something far more devastating. A future where the phone never rings. A future where the invitations never arrive. A future where the doors remain closed. And according to those watching this royal drama unfold, that future may have already begun.